get smart out there tonight. I see a lot of work from you guys. Put your heads on the ice out there. Guys, we all know how to play hockey. Just play it smart. That's right. You're not there. Stick 'em. Fuck 'em, Christ, pop on. Yeah, sure. Let's go now. Come on. Let's go now. We need this win, you know. We got a lot of losses. Yeah, we got a lot of losses. Come on. That's what we're here for, guys, to win. Play heads up out there. I mean, let's be smart. Man for man, we're better than any fucking club in the league. And let's put our minds. We're number one. Come on, Braden, our line star.
One of the best sports movies of all time.
Putting on the foil.
Putting on the foil, coach.
So in light of the Caps winning the Stanley Cup, with us both being hockey fans, we'd like to not really review, but more just gush about Slapshot, which is probably easily the best sports comedy of all time, and one of the best sports movies.
It is such a good movie on so many, absolutely so many levels.
If you're a hockey fan at all, then you've seen this. 100% you've seen this. It's almost like a requirement.
If you're in junior hockey or like if you're even Canadian, like you've seen this movie. Yeah. Sometimes hundreds or thousands of times.
You'll get weird looks if you consider yourself a hockey fan and you haven't seen Slapshot, or at least haven't heard of it or seen a couple scenes at least.
If you ever sitting in I don't know, if I was sitting in a room and like I was sitting with like a CFO or something, he said we've got some losses, I would definitely go, yeah, we got a lot of losses.
So Slapshot is a hockey comedy starring the great Paul Newman, believe it or not.
The great Paul Newman.
Yeah. And came out in 1977.
Yep.
And it was kind of a turning point, I guess, for R-rated comedies, at least, or at least sports movies. Because what would you have before? Yeah, like the Bad News Bears. When did that get made? That was I guess it was a little more raunchy. It was kind of a kids movie, but not. This is definitely an R-rated sports comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Slapshot is about, like, obviously, like, Paul Newman's the star. Paul Newman is the player coach.
Reggie Dunlop.
He's, like, the captain, he's the coach, and also plays on the team. And he's quite old. He's, like, the Gordie Howe of, like, the amateur. What league? It's the Federal League, right?
Yeah, the Federal League.
Yeah, they play in the Federal League. He's, like, the Gordie Howe, if you're a hockey fan, of that. Like, he's, like, 50 years old. Still playing. People were saying that he's like lost a step and like all that stuff. Like people are, talking crap about him and the team is failing pretty badly. Like financially, like they're like basically last place in the league.
They're a joke, losing pro hockey team in a industrial town in Charlestown.
Yeah,
and to boost. Well, no, not even to boost fandom. They're really terrible cheapskate owner, what's his name?
Joe
McGrath, buys these three twins called the Hanson brothers, who are just total goons, just barely hockey players, and all they do is just fight and get in brawls. And, Paul Newman, player coach Reggie Dunlop, just says, who the fuck are these guys? They're an absolute disgrace. Yeah. And then they see that they're absolute savages on the ice, so they decide to just completely change their team dynamic and become a team full of goons.
Yep.
And they get massively successful, and they actually start winning.
Yeah.
And that's basically the plot of the movie.
Yeah, they start winning, in order to get the team to start winning, they start playing by, like, hook or by crook, kind of. Like, they play, like, really... Instead of trying to play, like...
Aggressive hockey is back in town, they say.
Yeah, instead of trying to, like, play actual, like, hockey the way the sport, is obviously actually played, they just...
It's a mockery.
Yeah, they make it like a mockery.
It's wrestling. It's pro wrestling, basically.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Is they just make hockey like a pro wrestling, kind of like a show for people.
So it's weird that people would be surprised that this classical actor, this legend named Paul Newman, is in a funny sports comedy like this. But the director George Roy Hill has worked with Paul Newman on a lot. George Roy Hill directed The Sting, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, both starring Paul Newman. So the guy has a long history of working with the guy. So I guess when he decided to lighten up and make a sports comedy, he just decided to cast Paul Newman. Yeah. And people were like, what? Paul Newman?
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly because Paul Newman's comedic timing in this is amazing.
Yep.
He's hysterical.
It's hard to kind of quantify the impact that this movie had on hockey, because if you play hockey and you're part of a hockey culture, like hockey is very much a cult sport. Like anyone who gets into hockey or starts playing hockey or starts following hockey and then, then plays or whatever, understands that hockey kind of like takes over your life and becomes like the one sport that you just always turn to. And hockey has its own like culture and almost in a way like its own language. And a lot of that stuff can be attributed to Slapshot. Like there's always like kind of a tough, like rugged, workman,
kinship,
blue collar family kinship side to hockey. But this movie, like after this came out, like there was sort of like a comedy and like wit that like evolved with the sport. Like this movie was a landmark for like moving forward, like over the next 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, if you're in a locker room with hockey players, you're gonna hear a Slapshot quote.
Yeah, 100%. Or like on a bus with people. Like if you're going to a hockey game, I guarantee you almost every fan has seen.
If you've been to a Caps game, you've seen a clip from Slapshot.
Yeah,
the third period pump up music or a little montage where the commentator is saying, the players are standing up to them, the fans are standing up to them. Slapshot.
Yeah.
But what also makes this movie so fucking hilarious is the cast. Not just Paul Newman, but it's carried because the best sports and just I guess ensemble comedies are done when you have just a shitload of unique characters. Because you got Paul Newman as the coach, you got Ned Braden, who's basically his second in command, like his one of his forwards.
He's kind of like the guy who actually takes hockey
He's a
seriously.
hockey purist, and he doesn't like
he's
the goon
smart.
shit.
He's educated.
That's what it said in the yearbook, Jim. Yeah, and then you have Morris, the sex pervert, and then you have the sweet kid, Dave Carlson, who turns into an absolute beast.
Yep, and
they
then
call him Killer.
You've got like the Norwegian guy who's like flown over who only cares about his hair. Or
the pretty
Swedish.
boy.
Yeah, the pretty boy who doesn't speak.
The Backstrom of the team.
Yeah.
And then you have the goalie, the disgruntled goalie,
French Canadian
named Denis.
Yeah,
who just hates his life.
Yeah.
So you got all these. Every scene is just filled with all these really, really funny, unique team members.
This is a movie that's so hard, I think, for other sports movies to replicate.
They've tried.
There's some kind of mix in it that's just so well formulated and bottled together.
They've tried.
Yeah, they've tried.
And they failed. There's also 2 sequels to this.
Oh,
movie, which
yeah.
I would never recommend. I haven't seen them, but I imagine from people talking about them, they're terrible.
Isn't Stephen Baldwin in one of them or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, Paul Newman tragically passed away. Who's our second in command? How about a less popular Baldwin? Love it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
It's like Tremors 5.
Yeah, and he's Paul Newman is obviously a legend, like all American, like style,
great salad dressing,
great philanthropist, all that. In the hockey community, when he passed away, people were actually really sad about it. Legitimately sad. I don't even know if Paul Newman necessarily had hockey roots, but everyone remembers him for this movie in the hockey community for just how great of a character Reggie Dunlop is.
I've gone to just not just Caps, hockey games where you see someone with a Charlestown's Chiefs jersey at the game and it'll say Dunlop on the back.
Yep.
Yeah. So besides the fact that this is a landmark, I mean, it's what is it? It's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it never drags because you just go from like game to game to game, set piece to set piece, and just following this
good scene to good scene.
Yeah, just ridiculous cast of characters who are just now learning how to deal with their success for being complete goons.
Yeah. And the cool thing about I find about this movie is it's very American in the sense that lots of colleges and like other sports teams, like that's a big draw to a community. And in a lot of ways, it will define a community in a certain way. If you go to like a big college, like like an Auburn or like an Ohio State, like it's known as a college town, right? And in this movie, Charlestown is like known as a hockey town and a steel mine town. So there's
steel mine town. Yeah, that's the big. That's one of the big center points of the plot. Is
exactly.
That's what made like Chris said, it's so American because a whole side plot of this is that the mill is about to shut down.
Yep.
And without hockey, these poor people are going to have nothing else to do or look forward to in this town, and the economy's terrible, and the team is failing. And the only release these people have is their terrible hockey team.
Yeah, and there's that kind of like microeconomics view of it, right?
Yeah, it's this is 100% an American movie. It's unique in that way that it's also just a sign of the times.
Yeah, exactly. You see, like, in a way, you see how much the economy and like the welfare of these people affects the like the team affects the city or town and vice versa. Like if they don't have jobs and they like can't spend the extra money to go to the games, and the Chiefs aren't really drawing any money or any sponsorship or anything like that because they suck.
Yeah, and they go on these horrible radio interviews with Jim Carr.
Yeah, and
just desperately trying to get them to come out to see their team, even though they lose, and all the fans hate him. Dunlop gets like hate calls on the radio.
Yeah, and they're like doing things to, obviously publicize the team in the community. Like they're putting the players
show.
Yeah, they put the players through a fashion show.
Yeah, Joe McGrath is their just cheapskate, terrible owner who doesn't know how to run a team, and he has them do these embarrassing fashion shows.
Yeah,
to sell tickets, and of course one of the players just pulls his dick out and wiggles it on stage. Yeah, and then he trades a used puck bag, as he says, for 3 awful farm league kids that turn out to be the saving grace of the team.
Yeah.
The Hansons, they actually played hockey, right? The
Yeah.
Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
Their kids play it too.
The Hansons are very well known and famous now for like obviously for this movie, but their kids play hockey. Like their kids are junior hockey players. Their kids, I think they've been drafted. They're actually pretty good.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. I think these guys, I'm pretty sure the Hansons actually were junior hockey players.
Didn't they have like a reunion game one time?
Oh, they do all the time.
Yeah.
They basically tour the country now. Like they tour the country as the Hansons and do like charity stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that's how famous they became because of this movie. Like they're so funny. They basically just look like Thunder Bay, Ontario, like farm boys, like from Canada. They just have like long hair, like broken
Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah, Coke bottle broken sunglasses or glasses that have been taped up together again.
Big giant noses.
Yeah, just beaks. Like,
hey, you look like my mother. Let's talk about how about the costumes in this movie. Basically everything Reggie Dunlop wears is just fantastic. Yeah, long fur coats and
Paul Newman is just such a beauty, man.
Yeah, he's a silver fox, and
he's a silver fox. He is straight silver fox. This movie, I don't know if it was like costume or maybe it's like Paul Newman's actual wardrobe. He's always wearing like the
checkered suits.
Yeah, like checkered suits or like the leather jacket with the big collar, big fur collar, and
the
like
big belt buckle attached.
Yeah. Just strutting around town like the man.
Peacocking.
Yeah, just straight peacocking.
Yeah.
Straight peacocking.
Yeah, the costume, just the wardrobe in this is so 70s, and it's great. Going back to how much of a hockey landmark and just a cultural landmark this movie is, and how low-key it's a cultural landmark. I mean, for you hockey fans, look in the beginning, Bruce Boudreau, the coach of the Wild, is in it. He's number 7 of the Hyannisport Presidents in the opening scene of the movie. Most of the players in the game scenes played for the Johnstown Jets, which the Charlestown Chiefs, the team, was based on. The Chiefs bus driver was played by Cliff Thompson. Thompson was the bus driver for the Johnstown Jets, which the Chiefs are based on. Paul D'Amato's character, Tim Dr. Hook McCracken, served as the model for the face of Marvel Comics mutant superhero Wolverine.
Yeah, that's a good fact.
Which now that I picture in my head, I can totally see it.
It's a good fact because, like we said, it's a very character-driven movie, and they have all these like caricatures of like hockey players, like that hockey player, like Hook McCracken, like he's like a caricature of sleazy, beat up,
yeah, just slimy goon.
Yeah,
who has no place in hockey anymore other than just to be a fighter.
Yeah, like if you're like one of
Those are like the villains.
yeah, like they create like caricature villains and they like build them up in the movie.
The main villain of this movie is a white guy with a giant afro.
Yeah.
Ogie Oglethorpe.
Yeah.
The players are fucking terrified of him.
Yep.
Because you don't see him until the end, but they keep mentioning that they might have to play Oglethorpe. I'm like, fuck. And they go, oh, he's suspended. And they all go, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And then he finally shows up in the end, and it's just this weird unibrow French-Canadian guy with an afro, and everyone looks terrified.
Yep. So like as they've digressed into this like goon team, like they end up having to like almost like a video game with like bosses and levels. They have to fight, and not necessarily like nobody on the team is necessarily like even a fighter.
No, they just have to.
Well,
we haven't even talked about why they're doing this in the first place. It's all because Reggie made up a lie to boost team morale that they were going to get bought by a retirement community in Florida. So they're all fighting and doing this new goon identity under the false pretense that they're going to be bought up and moved to Florida.
Yep.
And so Paul Newman is just encouraging this behavior, and the only one who calls him out on it is Ned Braden.
Who's the only one who's actually educated.
Yeah.
Like nobody else in the movie is really like a college grad or like
they're just a bunch
let
of
alone
dumb goons.
Like let alone speaks English.
Yeah.
So Paul Newman's character, like Reggie Dunlop, has basically, like Nick said, created a false pretense that the team's going to get bought. And so he gives them, like, the player something to actually play for.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it by kind of doing, like, an inception into the, he goes to, like, the newspaper writer who writes
Dickie Dunn.
Dickie Dunn.
It's got to be true. Dickie Dunn wrote it.
Yep. He goes to the newspaper writer for the town and then just, like, throws it in there that there's a rumor that they're about to be bought.
Mm-hmm.
So all the players get like a big morale boost that, since the mill is closing down in the steel town, like they're all so uncertain of where they're going to end up. And Dunlop gives them something to actually, like, no pun intended, to fight for under like a false pretense.
Yeah. So they're always talking about Florida.
Which is kind of an interesting like idea in and of itself, right? Create like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way to like give someone something to play for.
Yeah. They're playing better. They're actually winning games despite the fact they're just beating the shit out of their players, but because they think that there's a brass ring at the end of it. But then, ironically, they actually become a successful team.
Yeah.
Just based on a lie.
Yeah, and they come, a successful team on what teams need, and that's like team bonding and like chemistry and like standing up for each other and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Reggie will, same way he kind of does with the newspaper, he'll give like a teammate an idea in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point he tells...
He eggs all his players on based on who they are.
Yeah, and at one point he tells a guy on the team that he pretends to be really upset. And the guy on the team comes over and he's like...
He's also... Because Dave is the sensitive guy.
Yeah, he's like, what's wrong, coach? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like I'm too old to play this game.
Well, you got an expression of sadness on your face.
Yeah. He's like, I'm too old to play this game. I can't keep up anymore. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, don't say that. Like, don't say that, coach. And Dunlop goes out the next game and just starts talking shit to this guy. Being like, oh, I heard you're getting traded, blah, blah, blah.
I got a contract.
The guy takes it personally. He goes, no, Dunlop, you're too fucking old to play this game. And Dave hears it and, knows that Reggie's all sensitive to it. And he goes, you take that back. And
take that sentence back.
Yeah. And goes and just beats the shit out of the guy. Yeah. So, like, Dunlop is basically, like, puppet stringing, like, everybody to try and make, like, this kind of...
His lie.
Yeah, this kind of...
To perpetuate his lie. He threatens to bench Braden because he knows it would drive him crazy.
Yep.
He starts hanging out with his estranged wife.
Yeah, he's like pulling... Like, he's trying to motivate and, like, stick a fire under each person's ass.
So he's kind of like a scumbag with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
In a weird way, yeah. He's very much an anti-hero.
Which kind of defines most, like, hockey goons in a way.
But he's so damn charming in it that you just don't really know. Because anyway, if it was like an ugly guy, like, wow, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, do you think he never actually like pursue Braden's wife for real?
No, he just, because Braden had no interest in her.
Yeah.
But he didn't want another guy being with her because they're just such a fucked up relationship that he would just poke the bear.
Yeah, and Braden's obsessed with his dog. Like, always naps before every game with his dog.
His wife hates the town. She's just miserable. But Braden's just following his hockey dreams and dragging his poor wife along with him.
Which is true. Like that's a really true life of a hockey player, even professional hockey players. Like
one of my favorite lines in the entire movie is when Dunlop sits down next to Lily, his wife, Braden's wife, and looks at the dog, the statue of the dog. She goes, "What's the story on that dog?" He goes, "Oh, that's the dog that saved Charlestown from the 1932 fire." And she goes, "Well, fuck him."
She just hates it.
Yeah,
like she hates everything about the town.
She's always drunk because she just can't cope with being a hockey wife.
Yeah, but I mean that's like it's something that's kind of true though.
It captures that culture beautifully.
Yeah,
that no other hockey movie has ever done.
No other movie though.
Yeah,
I mean they all try to emulate it, right?
Yeah, and also while being hilarious, I mean this was a comedy landmark too, because 1977, this movie has nudity. Tons of swearing. It's pretty bloody. Like they don't hold back blood. When they're punching each other, they're covered in blood. And there's so much swearing that the MPA wanted to put an extra warning underneath the R rating because they say fuck so many times.
They say it
for that time. Yeah, it's raunchy as hell for 1977.
God, it's so good though. Yeah, it's so funny.
How many times have you honestly think you've seen Slapshot?
Easily like 20 or 30.
20 or 30, yeah.
It's like the default movie for any team that's in, like any hockey team that's on like a bus or like traveling anywhere. It is like the default go-to movie. Mm-hmm. It's like if it's not like a Will Ferrell movie, you're throwing Slapshot in just because everyone likes like the background noise of it.
Here, it's usually downloaded to my hard drive on my iPad just so I have it wherever I go.
Yeah. God, it's a great movie. I think honestly the thing I like about it most personally is like there's in America like football kind of reigns like supreme as far as being like I'd say football actually, like as far as like crowd draw, like we mentioned, like college towns and stuff, is just the way that we're from the DC area, as you can kind of see from like our Instagram tags and stuff like that. Like even with our local team, the Caps, like just having won the cup, like you can see the way that there's sort of a symbiotic relationship between like the local economy and like how people are doing and the outlook and like the pride and the actual team. Like there's that kind of relationship between the two.
Yeah. And
that's what I think is so cool about this movie and is so hard to emulate. Like there's Ohio State and like we mentioned Auburn and like all these big schools, like the town kind of revolves around like the college and like the money that comes in from that. And obviously like that only really happens when there's a winning team. Mm-hmm. The same thing happened with, another school that's like local to us is like George Mason, right? You remember like in the late 90s, like Mason, or like maybe it's like 2000 or 2001 or something?
I sure don't.
Yeah, well, the college basketball team, like George Mason was not that well known of a school. It really like was not that well known.
Really?
And then George Mason goes and makes it to the Final Four, like a Cinderella story. And behold, like 10 or 14 years later or whatever, the school is now actually well known for education and stuff. And that's a very, American style thing where the relationships between like a sports team and like the city, or like the sports team and a town, or anything like that, and like the type of money and like draw that comes from that. So that's like, I think from my perspective, and I don't want to sound like I'm philosophizing Slapshot too much, but that's what makes this movie so good.
There has to be something about it, because if it was just another goofy comedy, it would be lost in just the massive pile of sports comedies.
Yeah, and like as much of a landmark as this movie is, the entire movie is on Paul Newman's shoulders. Yeah,
pretty much. He had a lot to do because he was the only real well-known actor.
Yeah, but
everyone else does a good job because they feel so. All the other players feel really authentic, but the charisma and the plot and just the central point is around Paul Newman.
Yeah,
and obviously the guy.
He has a hand in everything in the movie, though. Like he is just like he just carries.
He is the sun that everybody revolves around.
Exactly. Like he is a Paul Newman centric movie.
Paul Newman and Company.
Yeah, it's like, I think honestly it's easily like my favorite Paul Newman movie. Like easily.
Yeah.
Very easily.
So you can try to make a Slapshot for the modern day, but good luck to you. I think the only there is actually, now that I think of it, there is one movie that's basically Slapshot Bow basketball. It's semi-pro. Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah,
The Flint trial. Think about it. It's ripping off Slapshot. It's 100% a Slapshot.
Yeah.
I want to see who was it. Will Ferrell directed semi-pro.
No,
I want to know who the fuck directed semi-pro because it's literally Slapshot. It's a losing industrial town, Flint, Michigan. Their fans hate him, and then they get an eccentric new player who accelerates them to like mediocrity, and then they go from there. That's literally Slapshot.
Yeah,
semi-pro is Slapshot.
Yep,
except Will Ferrell.
But not nearly as classic or good.
I like semi-pro.
I do too. I like semi-pro. I like semi-pro too, and a lot of hockey players like semi-pro. But
I laugh just a lot.
It's just not Slapshot.
No, it's not Slapshot.
As much as you like it, it's
perfectly. If you can't find Slapshot online, but you can watch semi-pro. It's like the light beer of semi-pro.
I mean, of
Slapshot.
You can get Slapshot for $7 on Blu-ray. Somewhere.
It's on Blu-ray. That was the best.
It is on Blu-ray. So, to be stereotypical, crack a Molson.
I would do a warm Miller, or like a Genesee cream ale or something real like from a bar that only has 3 things on tap.
Like the pissiest ale you could possibly do.
Set a Budweiser out in the sun for 3 days and then drink that.
Like a skunked beer.
And then pour it in like a really small like regular dinner table glass because that's all they have.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. Anyway, so we'll take us out on the best song from this movie.
If you have any suggestions on movies you'd love us to comment on, send us an email at amateurhourmovies@gmail.com, tweet us at amateurhourmov, or Instagram us at amateurhourmovies. We'll be teasing throughout the week our release for the following Monday on all these platforms.